What's up, boys? It's Nick from Team Table 501 here. I'm the king of the scrubs, and today, excuse me, I'm going to bring you my Domain Monarch deck profile updated for Maximum Crisis. Updated in air quotes, because this deck has like 5 new fucking cards. Like, this deck just can't change that much. You have one strategy: to tell your opponent they can't play Yu-Gi-Oh! Now, True Draco shits on this deck hard. Your True Draco matchup is like 10 to 15%. Like, I have played hours and hours with this deck. You just cannot beat True Draco consistently. Maybe you get lucky and they brick. Maybe you get lucky and they don't draw 12 cards on their first turn. I don't know. I really don't. But, like, there were really bad cards that you have to play just to have a chance against True Draco. Now, I don't expect that the regional I'll be playing at is going to be 9 rounds of pure True Draco. But maybe it will be, I don't know. But this deck does actually have a somewhat strong Dino matchup, because Vanity's Fiend just shits on that deck. So if you're able to establish a Vanity's Fiend plus March, that usually is sometimes enough to win the game. And even if you go second and they have a board of like VFT plus Logia, that's somewhat of an easy board to break with the deck. Because they can't really call the right attribute. Because if they call light, yeah, you can't Edia. But if they call dark, then they can't. Because like really, they have to call dark against you. Because otherwise, you can just go Eidos into Fiend and just pass turn. Like that's it. That's all I gotta do. Fiend, establish some stuff, kill the VFD, go. So, and it still obviously has a very strong Zoo matchup because it just tells Zoo to fuck off. They can't play. So yeah. Let us run through the deck profile. I might type out the deck list in the description for those of you who don't want to watch. I don't know. We'll see. 1 Aether. I don't know why this card is still at 1, but it's at 1. She is the best card in the deck. 3 copies of Erebus. Erebus is your win button. He is the card that makes this deck playable, outside of Domain and Vanity's Fiend. Just having non-targeting removal is super good, especially because Dragonic Diagram is just a card. So being able to get their diagram off the board, because you can't, even though this card doesn't target, it still won't spin Masterpiece, because Masterpiece will be unaffected. So unless you have a Domain plus Erebus, and they've already used the Masterpiece pop, then you can't kill Masterpiece. So, and then I play 1 Mega Thessalos. This card is so good in this deck now. I had builds where I cut it, and now I regret it, because this card, if you go first and you can have access to this card, summon it, because then you can just get the Masterpiece out of their hand, and they take, like, 1800 damage. So just being able to establish Domain Block and having a way to get the Masterpiece out of their hand is super good. And then 2 copies of Karaz. I have not changed this card. I probably should change this card, but I haven't, just because I haven't been able to pick up. I haven't played much Yu-Gi-Oh, obviously. I've been playing a lot of Magic recently. But because there's a regional coming up and I want to go play, just so I have a feel for the format for Nationals, I needed a deck. I'm sorry, hold on. So, if I don't play this deck, I'll be playing Draco Pal, but that's a whole new thing. But 2 Cross, this card's actually really good. Being able, this card out set rotation, because you can just pop the set field spell and draw a card. So, and then the new card in the deck is 1 Caius, the Shadow Monarch. Caius is just kind of one of those cards where he's removal, and the deck is super light on removal, so... Oh, I'm sorry. This could be the Majesty's Fiend slot, but I chose this over Majesty's because Majesty does absolutely jack shit against Draco. Well, this actually gives you a half-decent card against that deck, because it banishes. So by banishing Diagram, by banishing their spells and traps, they don't trigger. So... And then the win button of the entire deck. 3 copies of Vanity's Fiend. This card is broken. This card is amazing. This card is everything you need in this deck. When you draw Vanity's Fiend plus Tenacity, you just have to cry inside. But this deck just inherently breaks. There's nothing much you can do about it. So, but yeah, this card is it's your win button. Like, this card still beats Zoo. It still beats Dino. And it can beat Paleo, too, because Paleo doesn't really have an out to the card. And then for Squires, I play 3 copies of Edia, because she is the best one. 3 copy of Eidos, because this is a card you want to open. And then 3 copies of Red Layer. Red Layer is here because it's a fire monster, and with Thestalos you get to deal the burn damage, and it has a little more attack than Kaiser Vorse Raider does. So because I'm not playing a lure, this card is just a better beat stick. Because if you have to domain lock somebody with this, and it attacks you, it'll at least have 2800 attack, so it can ram into Dino cards. And it can ram into the True Draco little guys, so... that does it for the main deck monsters. I believe there are 20. Moving on to the spells, 3 copies of Domain. This card wins games. Just having this, like if you Erebus a card out of their hand, or you Thessalos a card out of their hand, you activate Domain, you pass turn, you might just win. Like you legit just might win. 3 copies of Tenacity to go search any of your win button cards. Also, it can search outs to set rotation, which I'll talk about in a minute. And then 3 copies of Return. This is just a starter card, so you want to play 3 of all your starter cards. That's why there's 3 Erebus, 3 Vanity's Fiend, 3 each, 9 of every Squire, essentially, 3 each Squire plus the Road and stuff. But just having the ability to try to consistently set up a Domain Lock is super good, especially since you can just send dead copies of this card with the Monarch effects. So, for spells, 1 Pantheism, 1 Stormforth, 1 March, and 1 Frost Blast. Pantheism and Stormforth are obviously the best spells in the deck. March, I hate this card, but you need this card because you need to be able to set up Vanity's Fiend plus March and you just win. And then Frost Blast is an out to set rotation because you can banish the field spell. Yeah, set rotation kind of shits on your deck if you didn't know that, because they kill your domain. So you need to have outs to it. 1 for 1 in Rhoda is extra tribute fodder. Upstart Goblin and Foolish Burial. Just having extra easy side out cards is super good. So, and then the last card in the main deck, 3 copies of Prime. You just need the ability to keep up with the card draw of True Draco, so I feel like you have to play 3 of this card. Escalation was okay in testing, but I never found it super good. So, that's it for the main deck. 40 cards. On to the side deck. Shout out to Flareon. He's cool. 1 Maxi. I just decided not to main deck this card because my philosophy, like, this really comes down to the philosophy of deck building, is that this deck wants to go first, and Maxi does absolutely nothing for you going first. This deck already bricks enough. I don't want to have another dead card in my deck if I can avoid it. So having this card in the side deck just helps out with that. Majesty's Fiend. In the matchup where Caius is bad, you switch out Caius for Majesty's Fiend. So that's why the Fiend is in the side deck, and it's still searchable. Double Jinzo for Paleozoic. in any trap deck. Double Kamungus. Against True Draco, my philosophy is that sometimes you just the blind second and hope you draw Kamungus. Because going first and setting up a Vanity's Fiend doesn't do anything against that deck because I want to Tribute Summon, so... even going first against True Draco, you have to side in Kamungus, because if they Masterpiece you, you have to kill Masterpiece. That card just absolutely beats your deck. So, even going first against True Draco, I have to side in the Kamunguses. And then the 1 Zaborg for Zoo, and any sort of extra deck-reliant deck like Invoked and stuff. I cut the Retaliating Seas, and I cut the Lancias for my earlier builds. Basically, I don't think Metal Foe is going to be a deck at all. I just don't think people are going to play that deck. And Infernoids, I guess in theory it's okay. It was really just because Invoked was such a represented deck at the last regional that you just Lancia the Invoke player and then their turn's done. So, but I don't really expect to see much more Invokes. So that's why I cut the Retaliating Sea and the Artifact Lancia from the side deck. Still 2 Dark Hole. Anytime I'm going second, I like to side in Dark Hole, because just being able to clear your opponent's board and bait negations is really good. Double Soul Exchange for any matchup where you expect to see Crystal Wing or Toad. Just being able to get those 2 cards off the field, or at least bait those 2 cards, is super good. 2 copies of Forbidden Chalice. So this is when you are going second against decks like Crystal Wing Toad. But you can also side in this card going first if you are up against... really, this card's good against Zoo, also. If I'm going first against Zoo, I like siding in Chalices, because being able to negate the Invoker to stop them from accessing Rat is really good. It just forces them to have a Rat in hand, or a Barrage. It just forces their hand, is what the card does, so... And then 2 copies of MST. I just have not had time to get Twin Twister. I would play Twin Twister over MST, but I just haven't had access to them, so... It does come in common now, which is super good, but... really, this card you have to side in against True Draco to hit Diagram. Also, because that deck can play anti-spawn and Imperial Order, you have to side in MSTs against that deck, or else you just can't win. So that's basically it for the deck profile. Not much has changed. There's not really much I can change about this deck. You know, you still have your game plan of just domain locking people, and if that doesn't work, just summoning, because the Monarchs are still big, right? 2800 is still big against most decks. So, anyway, guys, it's Nick from Team Table 501 here. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and get good, scrubs.